I talk about the things that I know about a lot. But hopefully more stuff in the future will also come. Same, she failed. She has not failed. I just have a little bit of a frail memory, but I do have lots of history books as well. And notes. I have all of the... They also teach general story, Peruvian history at schools. Both private and public teach you about specifically Incan stuff, but also pre-Incan cultures as well. At least the basics, you know. I remember doing a bunch of presentations on these different civilizations, like Carol, for example, which is something that I'm gonna talk about in a bit. Hola, Bibi, suegra. Hola, Bibi, nomás. Mi mamá está aquí en el espíritu. My mom's here in spirit, okay? Because everything, we put this thing together, and she was so happy about it. We spent like some days researching and making sure that everything that we read and everything that we researched was accurate. She has favorite authors as well, and there's some type of debate regarding which things from Peruvian historians are true or an interpretation, and there's also a bunch of things that I'm gonna explain as we go around this topic, okay? There's so much information, but yeah, hopefully I can show you everything today. Let's see. Let me get YouTube chat. YouTube chat keeps escaping. Hello, Calacastillas. You're los causas. Yes. Nosotros los causitas. Hola, causa. No, non-sexually. Causita, normal expression, okay? Good damn it. Alright, let me see. Let's start. I think I can do it with my with my keyboard. Can I? Please? Alright. There we go. We're gonna start off by talking about Peru and all of the different regions it has, so you can get a better hold of the geography of this place that I've lived my whole life in Peru. I've never moved away. I am not secretly, I don't know, German. I am not secretly German. I am not secretly any other ethnicity. I've lived in Peru my whole life. So have my parents. So, they know a lot about different places that I have visited. I don't really go out that much. So most of the places that I'm talking to you about today will be places that I have not visited, even if they're archaeological sites or have like a lot to do with cultural things. I am a lady of my house, an elderly of my house. Alright, so the first map particularly just gives you all the regions of Peru. There's a lot of them. For most people that travel to Peru, they would think that only Lima is populated in a city scale. But there's several cities all around Peru that have become more advanced with time. They have their own industries, they have their own cultural identities. You cannot tell a person from Loreto is the same as somebody from Arequipa because they will impale you verbally. You're totally not Chinese. I'm not Chinese. But I can show you where kinda, sorta, the Chinese population that came around the 1950s settled in, which is this zone over in Lima. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, you can see my cursor. Alright. Lima is the capital. Over here. Over here is the most, I would say, diversified part of Peru. Everybody lives here. Every ethnicity you can imagine lives in here. We have Asian people, we have African descendants, we have Peruvian indigenous people, we have Peruvian people that descended from Spaniards. We have every single type of Peruvian ends up in Lima because it's the capital and it's the place where everybody goes to find a job because it usually has the biggest amount of economical growth. So people move over there kind of like to get better chances at getting jobs and all that, you know? Name all the ethnicities, go ahead. I can't. I cannot. Peru is divided in 3. Aside from, okay, first the regions. Okay, we got all of this. I know some of you are from regions over here and over here. I know that I have some businessmen that live all around Peru. But aside from these being the regions or provinces, there's also something that we use to divide the zones by geography in Peru because of the differences in altitude and climates that belong to each part. We have this part, which is basically La Costa. It's like where most of the deserts are, where it's easier to reach the ocean and kind of like move around, and that's why places like Lima were chosen by the conquistadors to make it like the capital of the country. It has very easy access to the ocean, right? And aside from that, we also have the middle part, which is the Andes and all the hills. Everything that is up high up there is in the Andes. And then the other one is the jungle, which we share with Brazil, actually. Part of the Amazonas is also in Peru, not only Brazil. And there's a lot of places. They all have different pronunciation of things sometimes. They have accents as well. And it's really cool. It's really cool meeting people from other places because they will definitely make sure to tell you where they are from. There's some sense of Peruvian pride, or there used to be with older generations, where, and I guess it depends on, also like where exactly you are placed in Peru. I see you, Arequipa, but there is a certain province or region pride regarding of the zone where you are from. Kind of like how in America it also works like that, The ones from the East Coast have a different identity than the ones from the West Coast and the South and the North, What's this cool presentation? We're gonna be talking about some pre-Inca cultures that Drow Mom compiled information about, and she wanted to talk about that. I told her pretty much talk about cultures that you would like to tell people about. People that have never heard about anything regarding the cultures in Peru. Not really for me. I hate that fucking stupid, dirty, stinky ass chiclayo. I get you. I totally get you. But I'm mostly talking about older people. There's definitely some Chiclayanos that believe that they are true Chiclayano identity, and they would kill to defend their Chiclayano pride. I'm pretty sure. But yeah. So the specific places where these pre-Incan cultures were settled and that we're gonna be talking about today are these two. Caral. It's pronounced Caral. It's written like this. Kirill. Maybe you would pronounce it like that. Kirill. Caral. And then we also have Nazca. The Nazca culture or civilization, which most people I have that know anything about Peru probably know about because of the Nazca lines. Those huge lines that extend kilometers that are usually in the shape of animals and other anthropomorphic figures. Yeah. So let's start with the Nazca civilization. Alright, let's start with the Nazca civilization. The reason why we're talking about this one is because it's the most well-known one. Aside from the Incan one, that it is like what came after the Nazca and Caral and everything else. So I thought that we can begin with this, and eventually we can crawl our way into the Incan Empire on another presentation. Peru mentioned hello. hello. I cannot read your moon runes for name, but thank you for being here today. Bibi at the OK, Caral. Hi, Bibi. Hello, Scotty. For some reason, the Japanese loves Nazca. They appear in at least 4 animes. Yes! I'm sure that is because it is a very well-known archaeological site. And people get excited about it. They're like, you know what? I'm gonna write my animes about aliens coming from this place or being in the Nazca lines at some point. I'm pretty sure that... Oh, there was this one scene in, I think it was Food Wars, where they talked about Peruvian food, and they were praising it as it being very, very delicious. So there's only the most. I wouldn't like to say the most remarkable thing about Peru. It's its food and its archaeological sites, but it's definitely something very important. It's definitely something very important, and that people take a lot of pride on. Food wars, not food wars. Come on, get your. Stop thinking about feet, man. Stop thinking about feet. House of Bourbon. This. What are you talking about? Did I miss when you talked about religious preaching about quick consumption? Not yet. So quick consumption. Let me do a little detour here. We're gonna yap a lot, so get ready. Quick consumption is mostly done on the Andean part, on the middle part of Peru. Why? Because cuys are very easy to carry on the mountains. They're very easy to raise. They don't need that much food. And they're a very good source of protein. Very, very good source of protein. And if you're also a cuy merchant, you can also say cuy. And the yapping would come. Yes, we're gonna get distracted. Very, very distracted. Making a horror game where you're a guinea pig running from Bibi. I would 100% buy that. Not only from me, from all the Peruvian festivities where they eat cuy or where they use the cuy as a raffle. Have you guys seen? I have shown you this before, but there's this one game for specific carnivals and events here in Peru where we put a cuy in the middle of a circle full of boxes with little doors on them, with little holes on them, and each box has like the name of a prize, and you put the cuy in the middle, and wherever the cuy lands, every person in the festivity goes around and like chooses a box, and wherever the cuy lands in, whatever box the cuy enters is the one that wins. And usually you can win money or stuff like rice and that sort of thing. It's really fun. You can bet on the cuy raffle as well, which is very fucking cool. Just imagine, a cuy decides your fate. You can gamba cuy style. I can't believe Amazon only ships to one place in Peru. It's a bitch. We don't even have Amazon down here. Amazon does not work in Peru yet. We have part of the Amazon and Amazon does not work in Peru. Are you fucking kidding me? You fellas sure like cuys. Yes. Yeah. I don't actually know if they are 100% a species that was born and raised in Peru since the beginning, or they arrived with some Spaniards. Actually, I never questioned that. I've never questioned the origins of the cuy, but I would not be surprised if the case is that cuys are 100% Peruvian and not actually from Guinea. It was? Yeah, there you go. I trust in Chef. I trust a fellow Peruvian that probably has more knowledge and more memory about high school history classes than me. In a level I was not expected. Don't worry. We usually don't eat cuy in other places that are not the Andes. That sounds fun. Do you let him go after? No! Of course not. You have to eat it. Or you put it back into its pen and eventually it gets eaten, you know. The guinea thing was classic Spaniard stealing. Really? Man! Where is even Guinea? Isn't Guinea... Where is Guinea? I did some geography classes. Anyways, cuys are Peruvian. Guinea pigs are Peruvian. They should be called Peruvian pigs, not guinea pigs. Who came up with that name? Anyways, Nazca. Nazca civilization. So just to have a little timeline, I put here the timeline. So we have the lithic stage, the early archaic Caral, which is the first civilization in America. First civilization in America. Americas. And then, whatever this is, early formative, middle formative, there's definitely other cultures around here, but I'm just focusing on these two. And then is when Nazca came by. Then the Wari Empire, kinda at a like 100 to 200 similar time to the Nazca one. There was the Wari Empire, then the regional states, and then the Incan Empire. Because of and Pachacutec, which was the Inca, was born around this time. One of the Incas. Then we also have Viceroyalty, which is also a very, very interesting period of time in Peru, where the conquest by Pizarro started, and then eventually there was a House of Habsburg, and then the House of Bourbon, Enlightenment and Revolutions, and then eventually the Peruvian independence from the Spaniards, and then the Republic, which is a bunch of good and terrible, horrifying leaders. And eventually we landed with Alan Garcia in 2011. There's more story to this. More contemporary story to this. Which, if you've seen any degree of international news and ever stumbled upon the most stupid president we've ever had, you would know the things didn't go well after Alan Garcia. In your hard out Canadians, I'm sorry that you guys keep guinea pigs as pets. That is not my fault. I don't know who chose that. It's like if I decided one day out of nowhere that I wanted to keep, I don't know, American boars as a pet. You know? It would be as random as that. If the queen wins or loses is irrelevant, the destination is always the point. Yes. Or they could also die out of old age. Sometimes. Replica era in resume. And then it goes worse. Yes, Republica. Wasn't he like the one that wore a hat? Yes, not the one that wore a cat. Although, And there at the end is the start of the conquest of Bibi. I shall take over Peru eventually. Yes. Learning about Garcia can blow your head. We should probably touch that at some other point. You know what? I think that, not even from a political standpoint, we could explore the contemporary age just to list all and every single fuck up from the presidents. From Velasco to Dina Boluarte. It would be funny. It would be funny. Alan leaves. Oh yeah. This last president, he kinda oofed himself, but there's a huge conspiracy theory about him still being alive. Because somebody took a picture of a very fat lady that looked exactly like him at the airport. So he might still be alive. Who knows? That's part of the Peruvian mysteries. Theory. I would vote Bibi for Queen of Peru. Vote Bibi. B. In the next polls, please. Public School says the Nazca civilization took a left and then just went around circles for 700 years. Maybe. You know, the desert kind of looks alike in every single zone, you know? It's very easy to get lost in the desert. Very, very easy. Es war. Se me va el inglés, perdón. Sí, es war. Es uso. Didn't a Peruvian president resign through fax? That's Fujimori. It's another can of cans. It's another can of worms. But yeah, let's continue. There's so much that you can learn about Peru. We can keep these streams going forever. Anyways, let's start with Nazca. Why? Because I hate going in order. Nazca lines. Let me see if I can move myself a little bit. The Nazca lines, the Nazca civilization. You're not missing much that is over the chat, by the way. It just says Nazca lines, Nazca civilization. So to start off, I already showed you a map right here. Let's go back. Let's go back a little bit. The Nazca is at the very south of Peru. It's a place that is very desertic. Back in, I think this is Ica? Around Ica. And also here in Kawachi, which is specifically the zone where the Nazca lines are. Okay? I can explain what this means. Let me... You know what? I think your baby daughter can be over here, and I will move myself even more so I don't cover things. Alright. It says here, Nazca culture. These 3 dots are the archaeological sites. And as you can see, there's several of them here. Only from the Nazca civilization. But they kind of shared, as I mentioned before, they kind of shared some time and space with the Wari culture. Which means a lot of their myths, a lot of their beliefs, and some other things kind of live together, in a sense. They had to live together for a certain amount of years. And learn to not kill each other. Although I'm pretty sure that they went to war several times. The art is so cool. Thank you, thank you. That is more of an Incan outfit. So it has nothing to do with the cultures I'm gonna be talking about today. Alumna del papelote. Oye, no puedo leer. Estoy leyendo. Okay. Ciudad Actual is where right now the cities that still exist to this day are. And this is Nazca, which is a city, and Palpa, which is another one. Then we have Rios, or... How do you call this? I was gonna say produce. Oh no! The word! Oh no! Rivers, there you go. Fuck. Thank you. Where the rivers are that connect to the Pacific Ocean. And they kind of extend all around. But this zone was known to be super extremely arid. It is a desert after all. So these rivers will dry out from seasons. So the Nazca civilization had to survive all of that together. Having neighbors, having to deal with living in the middle of nowhere, sand, and rivers disappearing. Then we also have this that says the area with the biggest concentration of lines and figures, which is where the Nazca lines are over here. Alright, now I'm gonna read because this is the part that Roman wrote. So the Nazca civilization existed from 100 BC to 800 AD. It was discovered by Federico Max Ulle in 1901, relatively recently. And it's placed on the Nazca Desert in the Ica Valley. You can see over here where the Ica Valley is. Let me show you. Over where it says Ica here, near the Ica Valley in the Nazca Desert. It was influenced by Paracas culture, which is an even older civilization. And the Nazca lines and the puquios, or subterranean aqueducts, that still work today are one of their more important archaeological sites. So over here in Kawachi, it was also right side for deities, because they found huacas, which are basically Peruvian pyramids or pyramid-like structures that were for ceremonial rites. They did human sacrifices. And they were kind of brutal because they would murder women, men, and children. Everybody was equal in the Nazca society. Everybody had some value for the gods to be sacrificed for. Except maybe the ones that held a certain amount of power. Sacrifice him, bro, for a GPU. You could have. Now it's only the will of the gods if you get your GPU or not. So, next slide. These are the huacas. The huacas are in the top right. those are Peruvian pyramids. Very blocky. They don't usually end in triangles like Egyptian pyramids do. But they were still pretty much used for the same thing. There were sacrificial sites, there were... Oh. Alex! Hello! Thank you! Thank you for the raid! Welcome, Alex! Welcome, welcome! Hello, raiders! Today we're learning about Peruvian history. We're learning about specifically a pre-Incan civilization called Nazca. And I'm explaining to chat that we used to have pyramids and shit before, not even kind of at the same time as the Egyptians, except maybe not this culture, the culture that was before this one. Hello, raiders! Hello! Can I get a little shout out for Alex, please? My hands are holding a gigantic book. Faracas are cool with their elongated cranium and stuff. Yes! Faracas are the culture that elongated the craniums of people because they believe that that would make them closer to the gods. This is not Paracas, by the way. This is Nazca, but Paracas came before and in a very nearby zone, if not the same zone. But Nazca also had these aqueducts were called Cantayok aqueducts, which are these spirally things. They still work to this very day. You can still get water from one point to the other just thanks to these aqueducts to this very day. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Biscuit. When do we get to see the part where the Emperor's New Groove happened? That's a few thousand years from now. A few thousand years, but we will get there. We will get there. I will show you who real Emperor Cusco was eventually. See you, alright. Thank you, thank you. Thank you for the follow. Thank you. Alright. So, I decided to add some myths to these slides. And I asked Joban because it is kind of confusing. Because there's so many cultures that happened in a similar time in Peru. That there's some deities that, for example, in Nazca civilization did something that in another civilization, like a Wadi civilization, they didn't do. And also, I think that it's similar to, let's say, when in Greek myths, certain deities would be combined with others, or they would have different names, or they would have taken different actions depending on who you asked. If you were from like different souls, you would have a very different perception of certain deities. And that's what happened down here. I fell asleep on a sleepover and my bro elongated my cranium. Don't worry. You'll be closer to the gods. Eventually, a little UFO will come pick you up. They will recognize you as your own and they will pick you up as a fellow Peruvian. Alright, let's see. So, first off, we have the god Con. Here. Over here. This silly fella with his tooth all out, smiling almost mischievously, is the god of wind and rain for the Nazcan culture. I'm gonna be specifically talking about the interpretation of these deities by the Nazcan culture, not by any other. So if you read, I don't know, about whatever other culture and it says, actually, Con was a demon from hell. Yeah, maybe. I don't fucking know. I cannot ask the Nazcans right now. But this is what archaeologists and historians have kinda gotten together to agree with. Oh hey, isn't this the Incas? No! Wait, we're gonna go back to the timeline. Where the Incas are over here. Alright? Before the Incas, there were pre-Incan civilizations. So fucking many that I lose count. So many. Oh, thank you, Barry. Thank you. So many. And they also influenced the Incan Empire. That's why they have similar stuff like... I don't want to say that this is crochet. Stuff like bases. They have similar patterns on their bases and also on their tejidos. Because they all influence each other. It's also because at one point the Incan Empire constituted a shit ton of the Peruvian region. Like, all of this was the Incan Empire, so they devoured, they ate the people that came after, from that descended from the Nazca and Wari civilization. So it all became a mix of things eventually. Oh, early Incas. Yeah, you could say that. In my defense, I came with the raid. That's alright, no worries. I can go back and explain if you guys don't get anything. Yes, but also yes. Alright. So, Kon? Let me get one thing straight. Kon is none of these deities are technically still celebrated, or people no longer believe in them because Christianity killed every single Incan or pre-Incan deity that existed. Unless you're somebody that is pagan and still believes in stuff like Pachacamac or the Inti. But otherwise, it's very rare to see somebody that still believes on these deities. So I would say I can accidentally not be accurate, and it would not be that bad. The only pagans left are larpers. Yeah, pretty much. My ex-president may now be a fat lady, but that's just a theory. A Bibi theory. Yeah. Peruvian history is very fucked up. Okay, let's go with Kon. Kon is the god of of rain and wind. And she's represented most likely in the Nazca lines as the astronaut, which is this one. This guy over here. People say that he is Kon, this deity that I just mentioned over here. That's why he was drawn like that. Because usually he's represented as a being that looks human-like, but has no bones or joints, and huge eyes. It has the shape of a human, but it is not human. And that's also kind of where I believe, personally, this myth of us contacted with aliens came from. Because the description sounds very alien-like. And I'm gonna explain further on the reason. There's other reasons why people think that the Nazca lines were made by aliens, but this is one of the strongest ones. Aside from that, Kon is considered in the Nazca belief to be the creator of all humans. And the main god, the father god of the Nazcas, was the same as the one from the Incas, which is the Inti, the sun god, right? And Kon is supposed to be one of his sons, but he kind of misbehaved by creating the humans, which led eventually to his exile. Itadaimase. Thank you for the follow. Thank you. Also, that's basically the best horror monster design. Yes. It looks very fucking creepy. I bet, listen, if the guy that made Enna can add Kon as a boss, he would fit perfectly. He would fit perfectly. Let's see. So the legend tells that because the Nazcas stop honoring Kon with sacrifices, he is the reason why the rivers receded. These rivers receded, and they had to go through a drought because there were consequences for not honoring the god and doing sacrifices for him. So let me see. Pachacamac over here, who is also considered to be another son of the Inti, of the father god in Nazca mythology. He was more of like the responsible type. He was more of the responsible type, while Kon was kind of like a mischievous being. So at some point, Pachacamac and Inti don't align with the fact that Kon has created the humans. And Pachacamac fights against Kon, eventually exiling him, which is kind of like the mythic explanation as to why the Nazcan civilization got destroyed in the end. It was mostly because of environmental factors, like they lived in the desert and there were changes. At one point, there was a flood near that affected them, and the rough temperatures and all of the changes with climate and stuff made them migrate away, or simply a bunch of them died and or changed into another culture. Bimi, god of rain, that he decides to create humanity because I'm lonely, immediately gets exiled by own people. So there's other myths about Pachacamac being the real creator of the human race. But I would say that these sort of beliefs kinda conflict with each other because of that. Oh, thank you, Neo, thank you. Thank you. Nazca Land, Zubi. Yeah, I'll get to it. Let me just explain. So we have Kon, Pachacamac, and they exist on their own version within the Nazca civilization. Because there's other myths regarding Pachacamac from other civilizations that kind of conflict with this story that we have right here. Alright. So the other deity that I can mention is Boto, who is a sea god. He is a god of destruction and fear, usually represented as a fish, almost with also feline and avian characteristics. He looks very scary, and people feared him so much. The only reason he was celebrated was because of fear. They were afraid of Boto somehow punishing them because they would not bring any honor to him. So there will also be sacrifices from people, and also stuff like any sort of, let's say, instrument or precious metal, or even stuff like food was left inside jars and sealed within these wakas in order to use them as offerings for Boto and Kon. Let's see. Ooh. So over here I put a little graphic that I think belongs to a touristic company, so please do not please do not, I'm not sure if this is super accurate or not. So do not go to the middle of Nazca alone just by being guided by this, okay? If you ever decide to visit. Who needs rivers when we have Inca Cola? That is true. We only need rivers for the animals and also the crops. The rest, we can all drink Inca Cola. Too late, I'm already on my way. No! I hope you don't die. I hope you don't get captured by the UFOs that go roam around this place. I've heard so many stories about aliens in the desert of Peru, chat. And I have seen weird lights as well. In the different places I've lived in before, and also when I was on vacation. So I don't know if they're actually aliens or not. I don't fucking know. But I would like to believe that even if it's not aliens, there's certainly something weird happening in places that are desolated. Because you see lights. You hear weird sounds, you see weird people roaming on the highway. So even if it's not something 100% paranormal, I would suggest to be careful. Alright? Be careful. I want to see astronauta. I'm gonna show it to you in a second. Beeps, are you in twin braids? Yeah, I'm in twin braids. Very Peruvian haircut. Very Andean haircut. As long as we don't pull a green piece on the Nazca lines. Yeah, that's the other thing. So, a few years ago, Greenpeace visited the Nazca lines to kind of protest. And they protested by accidentally destroying, or maybe purposely destroying, one of them. It had to be reconstructed, and it was a whole mess. It almost became an international scandal, because the Greenpeace people kind of did it as awareness for climate change or something. But in the way, they destroyed the representation of a very antique culture that we take a lot of pride in. Anybody that is Peruvian takes a lot of pride in any sort of geographical or archaeological touristic attraction, such as the Nazca Lines, because they bring a lot of good for everybody. They bring a lot of tourists and also people protecting those areas as well. The Nazca Lines technically have been protected for a very long time by the government, but there's supposed to be guards constantly roaming around so that there's no people that go into the zone where the Nazca Lines are and destroy them, because it could be by vandalism or something. But it can definitely happen, like with the Greenpeace people. Hola, mi abuela, extraterrestres. Yes. Yes, UFOs. Yes, aliens. Yes, 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 yes. I'll tell you in a second. So, this is the part that Dromam wrote and I translated in English. The Nazca Lines were discovered by Toribio Mejia in 1927. There's a total of 70 that are from 50 to 1,200 feet long. They were traced over the desert and form geoglyphs that represent various shapes, from animals, plants to geometrical figures and anthropomorphic figures. According to archaeologists, they were traced over the desert and hills along the ages. Their exact purpose is unknown. Some theories stipulate that they were meant to be walked on as part of religious rites and processions. Others say it could be used as an astronomical calendar to indicate the time of sowing and harvest. Several mummies were also found around the area, and this only makes the theory that this was a ritual sign stronger. But usually mummies are not hidden in regular places. They're usually hidden because they were part of maybe the leaders of a civilization, or because they were sacrifices, you know? Because regular people would die out in the wild and then their bones would be put in a regular pit, but these ones are usually surrounded by precious metals, surrounded by their loved ones, surrounded by stuff that would make them seem like they're somehow special in the civilization they belonged in. Mummies can be in very odd places, yes. The UFOs probably use lasers, who knows? But I know that indigenous Brazilians call the gray ants and say that they are dangerous. Yeah, never approach any aliens, please! Never approach any aliens! Even if they promise you they will build Nazca lines or something for you. La momia Juanita was found here? Oh, really? Oh, that's a remarked mummy that they found. I think they actually based Isma on the momia Juanita. It's a mummy. That's also, okay, I have this not confirmed theory, but this is my personal theory about Emperor's new groove. That Isma is supposed to be portrayed kind of like a mummy, or looking like a mummy, like a Peruvian mummy. And there was also this huge scandal regarding this one mummy that was sent to Mexico for testing, but somebody had sculpted it. And they were trying to pass it like it was a real mummy from an alien or something. You guys remember? Well, it was bullshit. We do have those elongated skulls in certain mummies, but that has been confirmed to be just a chirurgical it was like a surgical thing. They would do that, I don't know, I'm guessing that to deal with tumors, or to deal with, or maybe as a religious thing as well. I've read that it was for a religious reason, to kind of like be closer to the gods or something. You got it. Oh, I don't even know if that word exists in English. El Marcianito, yes. All the UFOs, all the Bogos Vinted, they all belong to Peru. Peruvian Mummies versus Aliens starring Tom Cruise. I would 100% watch that movie. I am surprised, chat, that there's not that many horror movies made in Peru about aliens like this. You could very easily do something, maybe even with tourists Kind of like they get lost in the Andes or the Nazca lands and they get abducted or something like that. It would be very fucking cool. Oh yeah, it was made out of fucking paper mache. Yes, it was. Tom Cruise and Brendan Fraser. Yeah. They don't know Peru is key. Yeah, no saben que Peru es clave. They don't know Peru is clave. No need for a movie when living here is already horror, you know? It's so real. Love the video. Thank you. Only if the mummies are acted by Terry Crews. Oh my god. Yeah, we can make a whole cast. We just need a director. And maybe some financial help from the government. Alright, let's see. Most of the lines can only be fully seen from above, is what Dromam is saying. Very loudly. I remember she was like, you have to tell them. You have to tell them that. How is it possible if they were Incas, unless Nazcan people made planes? How else would they be able to see all of them on the full scale? It makes no sense. That's the biggest question regarding the Nazca lines. Like, they're too big. It makes no sense. Even if they're for ritual sites, even if they're whatever reason that they want to feed you. Why are they so big? And why can they only be perfectly seen from above, several feet away from the ground? Aliens. Aliens. Aliens, I tell you. Aliens. If we could just draw thing and then build it on scale. That is true. Anyways, let me show you all of this. This is the star, which are these Toho-like hieroglyphics that look like this. They look like patterns from the Nazcan civilization. Then we also have the Palpa hummingbird, which is beautiful. It really does look like a hummingbird, exactly like with its beak and everything. It is so cute. Then this is a route that this tourist company uses, I guess. Itadasemase. And they start at the whale. There's a whale here because it was very close by the sea, so the people here also seem to have been connected to a certain extent to the ocean, because they also had this deity that was a fish-like being. We also have a compass, a trapezoids, the astronaut, which is the biggest question as to why it is there and what it represents, because they have indeed drowned people. Like recently, thanks to AI technology, they found around 300 other Nazca lines all around, and they have represented people, but not like this. Not like this. They look like actual people, not like this. So we don't actually know what this is supposed to represent. Again, people think that it is this deity called Kon, and I'll explain in a second. Then we have the monkey, the dog, the hummingbird, number 2, the spider, which is very cute. Very, very cute. I have a bunch of jewelry with spiders on them because of this one spider. And the condor, the heron bird. I don't know what the heron bird is, but this kind of looks very zigzaggy. And also the parrot. I have no idea how this is a parrot. Alright, we have a better look of this ones. This one is the astronaut. And I have to tell you, he used to have a hand. He used to have a hand over here for some reason that eventually disappeared. It kind of looks like something else, but I swear it was supposed to be a hand. A hand, yeah, a hand. The reason why they say, well, people believe it is gone is because of the eyes and the fact that its body doesn't look human-like almost, which is also mentioned in the descriptions of Kon, as he was a deity that looked human, but it wasn't quite human. It looked like he had no cartilage and was kind of floaty with gigantic eyeballs. Again, the thing that most people associate with an actual alien is the astronaut. I'm guessing that it's called... I don't know why it's called the astronaut exactly, but I'm gonna guess it's because of the shape of the head that kind of looks very blocky. Did he look more human like before? No. I got the spider and the monkey. It's hard to keep it going for centuries. Keep him a break. Why don't letting it all hang out? He's just very happy to see you. Very happy to see you. As you can see, this picture was super old. So, it might have been that the people that walked recently during that time around this astronaut went this way and they kinda accidentally fucked up the shape. And it's originally supposed to be like this instead. You know? Like he's dancing kinda like an Egyptian. So maybe. The spider looks more like an ant, to be honest. There was a debate regarding if it was an ant or a spider. I think they technically don't know still. Because it has 1, 2, 3, 4... No, it has 4 legs, never mind. It kinda does look like an ant. But maybe they didn't realize the differences between ants and spiders back then. The monkey is obviously a monkey. I like the Yu-Gi-Oh! Earthbound Immortal Cupback Apple design version. I've never seen that one. Just a penis? It's not a penis. The spider... So many excuses. It's not a penis. No, it's not. El chango. Sí. El mono. The Peruvian government doing a massive secret operation to make him lower his... Hey, we gotta keep it... We gotta keep it tourist friendly. We need to be able to keep it PG-13. You know? I guess it must have been some mystical being. The monkey? Yes. The spider? Yes. There's actually, while researching about this with Drow Mom, there's another god, but this was not celebrated. Sorry, it was not honored by the Nazca civilization, but another civilization. But we do have a spider-like god in, I think, a southern civilization that happened before the Nazca one. But I would have to do a little more research because I wasn't sure if I should put it here. Some other people mentioned that it was part of the Nazca civilization, but I didn't find those sources, so I didn't put it in here. Civilization, yeah, they're civilizations or cultures. Aliens are just demons. I guess I could say that. The Mexican mummy one that they made a cake meme out of, yes! Exactly. This is the real thing. This is a real alien. This is a real alien. Was there any free Ice Age or... Let's look at this. When was the Ice Age? Before Lithic? Probably yes. Wait. So there's... I think that these are their only theories right now, but supposedly ancient Peruvians came by with through America like almost every other ancient civilization came through the Bering Slate. I think that's how you call it. El Estrecho de Bering? Yes. Hello, Bibi-san. Peruvian history. Yes. Yes. I would guess not, since Mongoloids came through the Bering Strait. There you go. Maybe there's another line like these which are more in Criddle. Is there any explanation why aliens who built those weren't good at drawing? That's true. They were not very artistic. They had those aliens probably had a different kind of autism. They were not like the artsy type. They were more like, I know how to pilot an actual UFO kind of autism, I believe. I choose to believe in the cyclic theory. The Bering Slate, of course. Strip! They came from the Bering Strait, but Bibi is neither straight nor will bear children. No! Shut up! No! Listen. I am great and I am Peruvian. I might as well be an alien. Or half alien. How do you know? You guys are also green. And aliens are usually green or gray. Have you thought about that? They were intergalactic passport bros. Oh my god. You know what? Maybe. The so-called gods were demons who tricked them into human sacrifice and worship, and it happened all over the world. That's what I think Christianity believes in. And if you see some of the representations of these gods, like the one that I mentioned that is half a spider, it looks very demony. So I would not be surprised if that's the actual secret of human civilization and we're just keeping it away. I don't know. I love conspiracies. You guys know. Also, here's a little drawing on how supposedly the Nazca civilization did the Nazca lines. But do you believe? I don't know. There's also a mummy up there. And the mummies from the Nazca Desert are very well maintained, because in the Nazca Desert there's nothing for kilometers and kilometers and kilometers and kilometers. It gets super fucking cold at night and super fucking hot in the day. So these mummies are almost intact. Not more than the ones that were found in the Andes up on the snowy mountains, of course, but they're in very good shape. Very, very good shape. You can see some cranial preparaciones on that skull down there. That was made by Paracas civilization, but I do think it would make sense. It would be logical that if Paracas, that was the predecessor of Nazca civilization, had this sort of skull shaping methods, that the Nazcas would not have done the same. So I think it's probably there's probably like some connection between the two, and they both did something similar. Elves usually reside in secret forests rather than other planets. There's some elves that do. I can fix him. Him in question. I guess you could. You could kinda try to help Kim get a better posture by taking some bones away from his back. This is the ultimate shrimp form. This will happen to you if you don't sit straight. That's why you need to sit straight. I like to think the current Nazca lines are the result of numerous attempts. What we have is the final result. Oh yeah, I have a video that Drow Mom sent me about the Japanese guy that used AI technology to find out those 300 other Nazca line drawings. I'll show you in a second. Let me see if I'm missing anything, because Drow Mom will see this video and she will be like, Bibi, you forgot about saying this! Alright. She also mentioned, the reason why they were able to last so long is because they are located in one of the most dry parts of the Nazca Desert and also the world. The lack of vegetation also helps to preserve them through time, regarding the mummies. Thank you for the follow! How about the Atacama Giant from Chile? I have not seen the Atacama Giant. Is it a mummy? Is it a huge mummy? Be solid for forgetting Peruvian history. Yeah, might as well. Let's see. Alright, yeah, I'll check it. I check it later. Give me a second. Let me read. Real and true. It is okay. It's already known that Chileans are. What the hell are you guys talking about? Stop fighting. Stop fighting. We need to be better. If you don't wanna end up with reparaciones craneanas in your skull, you better behave. I refuse to believe there are giants in Latam. You're a giant or you're over 6 MT. Yeah, pretty much. I also don't believe the giant theory. Or the theory that the Incas were 2 meters tall. I think that's bullshit, chat. That's cope. That is only cope. Alright. Before we go into Caral, I think that we can watch a little video together. Boop. Let me mute this. Let's watch these.
In southern Peru lies the huge Nazca Pampa, spanning more than 400 square kilometers. These geoglyphs, or figures made of stone and gravel, have intrigued scientists for more than 100 years. Their markings, now etched in the desert landscape, revealed large line drawings and smaller relief figures.
You can see it is actually in the desert. I see that they traced this over with like a program, but the shapes you can see. Not all of them, but you can some.
I wanted to figure out
This is a
why
Japanese
people
researcher
created these geographies.
that decided to input
With the
AI.
help of the AI, we found more than 300 new figures.
I'm opening my Inca Cola. Sorry.
Using AI-assisted surveys, Sakai and his team were able to re-examine the distribution of these figures found across the desert and located along the trails.
Look at how many of them there are. That place, I think that the Nazcan people would constantly just go there to practice their gigantic drawing making. Like, it's like their canvas. They used nothing else.
So in 1994, when I started the investigation, we know only the 30 or 40 figures.
I used satellite images, aerial photos, and drone images for fieldwork. But the Nazca Pampa is huge, so I got discouraged.
So I asked a
Chinese
professor
historian.
of
He's Japanese! I like when they find giant skeletons and try to hide it from the public, but we have so much proof. I don't think I've ever seen an actual case of a giant that I believe is like a giant skeleton that I believe it's true. AI, tell those Nazcas to pick up a pencil.
science at our university,
mage.
and he recommended to
Are
use
you
AI.
related to him, boss? No,
And
I'm not.
I started with IBM Japan in 2018. First, we detected the large type of the figures.
These large figures extend more than
It's
90 meters long,
Orito!
yet their shapes cannot be recognized from ground level.
It's literally Orito!
The team concluded the geoglyphs
It's
formed
Monkey!
animal-shaped ceremonial plazas at the start and end points of pilgrimage routes that cross the Nazca Pampa.
The nasty
After
pamper.
that, they recommend to work with IBM Watson Research Center in New York.
Japanese historian, Japanese
So
science, Japanese
normally,
president.
we
Welcome
need
to
a lot
Peru.
of data to train the
I mean,
AI.
because of their
The
jobs.
Nazca team utilized an image recognition AI model that had been pre-trained on a large-scale image dataset.
We divided the aerial photos into small squares of 5 meters each. AI analyzed the squares and then flagged the areas where we would do on-site inspection. Ultimately,
This place
locating the
It's so flat. This place is so flat, chat.
303 figurative
Look.
geographies.
Sakai confirmed the presence of these
You know what, actually? Okay, listen. This is a video that Girl Mom sent me, but she has no awareness of what AI is. So it would be very fucking funny if it's one of those cases where AI, you feed it a bunch of stuff and you tell him, hey, recognize patterns here. And it does recognize patterns that are not actually there. It comes up with its own ideas. Like kind of when you look at a cloud and you think it kind of looks like a duck. But it's AI, and this is just bullshit. And I don't quite know what kind of method they use, but I hope it's not something like that. AI hallucinated and everyone's just going with it, maybe.
smaller figures found along footpaths, representing human-like beings, domesticated animals, and decapitated heads.
I believe this could be true because there is something that I forgot to mention. And Drow Mom, if you're watching this, do not do this to me. Do not decapitate me. So Nazcan civilization was also well known to keep the human heads of its enemies as trophies, and they would hang them on stakes outside of their houses or on their belts. So I think that this one accurate. This one
These
accurate.
figures are thought to depict ritual scenes.
We used remote sensing for 15 years and discovered more than 300 figures. Using AI, we
Alright,
found
let's look at this. Let's analyze this. Mexicans still do these lines, yeah? So do Peruvians, to be honest. If you look at any hill, any hill near your house, there's probably a football symbol in the hill. or a religious one. I'll give them that. Or a religious one. Imagine I bring back a Nazca and they tell you, they just go, what is this white devil talking about? Those aren't ours. Maybe AI can reanimate a Nazca mummy. That was a moon night. This look very weird. How is this a person? How is AI? How is this a turkey? Were there even turkeys in the Nazca civilizations? This one I can get. It's a guy. It's a kid playing with its gigantic monkey. This one, it could be like a fish holding something. This one could also be like a fish holding. You could say these are mermaids. If we have already aliens, why couldn't this not be mermaids? You know, why could this not be mermaids? And this is just a guy with two gigantic balls. And these do not look human whatsoever. I don't believe this.
found nearly the same number during a 6-month survey.
So I think we can decode the meaning of the figures of Nazca Pampa. So AI changed the game.
I wish I knew. Maybe I can check their studies and see if there's any definite conclusion, because they would not dare to say yes, we have a definite conclusion when they actually don't. You know, I will do my little research and we'll see. Also, give me a second. Where did the ambience? Fish with a knife? Yeah. The ugly Nazca lions are supposed to be Chilenos, I think. No! No, they can't be! Imagine if the AI they used was Grok. Oh my god. So basically they did Grok. Is this true? For their own history? Maybe. So another thing is most of these cultures, even the Incan culture, didn't have a written word. So they could not pass down information that was not verbal. They had no way of writing. And they only kept track of stuff like inventory or numbers through knots on a display of ropes. I'll show you in a second what it looks like. This one? They had quipus, yes. But I'm gonna be 100% honest with you, chat. There's a lot of debate regarding which things are true or not. Like, Drow mom has these, or Dryder mom has this. Her favorite historian is called Maria Rostorovsky, who is a Polish Peruvian researcher who was not formally trained, so a lot of other historians hate her because she was not like renowned by any important academic institution, because she did this casually. But some of the things that she says make more sense than what a bunch of other historians say, and I will go into that in a bit. Alright, let's see. What else did Dromam write over here? She also did mention that because of climate change, the Nazca lines have been needing to get restoration more than ever. So hopefully that does not get more fucked up and we end up losing up cultural patrimony. There is a hypothesis of quipus as writing, but I also doubt it. Yeah, definitely. I don't quite know. Anyways, let's continue with Caral. Caral is in the province of Lima. It was found by the archaeologist Ruth Shady in 1996. I know her last name sounds kind of funny, but she's an actual archaeologist. The location is on the Supe Valley in Lima, north of Lima province. And it is the oldest American civilization. Not like America from North America, but rather, you know, the Americas. America's oldest civilization. It existed since 3000 BC to 8000 BC. 18,000 BC, sorry. It was one of the first urban complexes in America, and it was contemporary with other civilizations such as Egypt, Mesopotamia, Indian, and Chinese civilizations. It mostly moved through economically through fishing and agriculture, exchanges, and all of that. And they built this. Give me a second. They built this. This is the city of Caral, and how its distribution is set. This one was the biggest pyramid, the major pyramid, a residential, kind of like a place, an old pyramid, another tinier pyramid, more residential complexes. This was a circular altar, and then a pyramid that was used as a theater for, I guess, sacrifices and all of that. We also have pyramids, and they were built similarly to the ones that are Aztec or Mayan in Mexico, except more blocky maybe and less tall. And then there's also minor ones. It was a huge city full of houses, buildings, pyramids, circular plazas, and everything. And they built not that much around themselves, and they were, I wouldn't like to say primitive, but they were a very early civilization, so they didn't leave away as much bases, as much sculptures as other civilizations, and they would use this specific technique that has made the earliest ceramics be lost to time, at least the ones that were found inside of tombs. There's also these wall carvings that are very well known. As you can see, it's so old, it's crumbling upon itself. My mom be like, ah! This poor guy was probably forced to marry this abomination. And then there's people. These are women. Yay! And this one doesn't have any genitals, so I don't quite know. Let's see. So I had having fishing and agricultural economy. They stand by the principle of reciprocity, and you will, if you study anything that has to do with Peruvian civilizations, you will see this concept a lot. But you will see it for the wrong reasons, okay? Let me explain what the concept of reciprocity is. It was this idea that people that belong to the same culture, they had to share among themselves and would have to all get together and try to work for the common good, right? So if somebody hunted, they would hunt for themselves and their own family, but also for the rest of the, let's say, town or civilization that they belong to. And they would constantly do that, right? But there is this misinterpretation regarding the principle of reciprocity because of political agendas down here. Some political agendas in Peru are very popular, and they have taken back these sort of concepts to kind of like bring them forward and push for other ideas, right? But this again is heavily misinterpreted because of the following. There was a social hierarchy in any Peruvian civilization before the Incas and beyond. So there was really not a true principle of reciprocity that worked entirely, because the Hunos, or the ones that were at the top of the pyramid, would not be reciprocal to the ones at the very bottom. The law of equivalent exchange. That's some kids though, probably. Maybe it was. They're also drawn here. These are so well known because they kind of look like a meme, you know? This guy is very concerned, and this one kind of looks a little bit high. So they became a bit of a meme. Propaganda. Oh, they're missing his pudding. Let's see. So, in the social hierarchy, you would have the Hunos, who would administrate and regulate any activities that were religious, social, or economical. Then after him came the Ichuwari and the Yaukawari, which governed over the sayas or the divisions that were kind of like, I would say, residences around or by the river. And then the curacas, which would direct the pachacas, and the pachacas were the common people that were conformed by ayllus or like what you would call houses and stuff like that. This culture again, okay, this one. This is what are called proto-quipus or quipus, straight up quipus. We call them proto-quipus because in the Caral civilization, there's not that many that have been found. So they don't quite know if it was a normal thing for everybody to that knew how to do math used, or that knew how to count used. So they had very few of these. But in further civilizations, like the Incas or the Wari, they did have regular quipus, and they found a lot of them. It was basically a way to kind of like count. You see, there's this string that you would put more strings of yarn into, and for example, if you wanted to count the amount of llamas that you had, you would get a certain color, and you would start counting them. And if you run out of space, you would pick the same color, and that's how you counted all of the things from a group, right? And this would carry information. And during the Incan Empire, there would also be these guys called chasquis that would run from one place to the other, even if it was like thousands of kilometers away. And they would carry these quipus as a way to kind of like show that measurement or that accounting to other people. So that's how we found out that this worked like that. It's like an abacus. Yes, it's like an abacus, but made out of this rope-like thing, pretty much. The receipts, yes. Oof. And also around 2009, UNESCO declared Caral a worldwide patrimony because it is the earliest civilization in America. Oh, chasquis, messenger high on them fire leaves. Yeah, they were also high in cocaine. Cocaine during the Incan Empire was used so the chasquis would run faster, and also so that people that did religious ceremonies would be more connected to the gods or something like that. Anything that had to do with hallucinogenic drugs was somehow connected to rituals and stuff like that. And that's where these beverage that people take in the jungle that makes them trip balls comes from as well. The Americas. Yeah. I guess you could say that. My phone's running out of battery. Hey. There we go. Irrelevant to the topic at hand, Dr. Professor Bibi, but have you watched the popular Peruvian animation Pig Club? Huh? Pig Club? I don't know. I don't think so. What is it about? Hey Beebs, I'm curious, but do you happen to have refs on your model with your twin braids by any chance? No, this is just a temporary haircut. What else do I have over here? Oh yeah, that is the end of the presentation, but there's some notes that Dromam left. She did tell me that I should mention that there's a museum that is dedicated only to the sacred city of Caral, which different expositions, and they have skulls, they have mummies, they have instruments that were used for agriculture, and you can visit them. I think it is technically in Lima. In October, Caral will be 31 years. Oh wait, fuck. In October, Caral will have had 31 years from being discovered and excavated. And then she mentioned it was a capital of a brilliant civilization that developed on that zone almost 5,000 years ago, and it ended up being erased because of climate change. Yeah. It's really sad that we end up losing stuff like this because of climate change. But I think that there is some responsibility where we also have to put on the government, because they need to invest more in taking proper care of that. We have so many people that are archaeologists, so many people that can do restoration on these sites. If you ever visit Peru, you will see that almost all the districts in Lima have huacas. Almost all of them have little pyramids. And let's say if this pyramid was in today's age, in a zone that is super populated, there would be houses all around, and they would be using the pyramid as a place to throw garbage in. If the local mayor does not take care of the pyramids, they end up being places where people throw garbage in, or kids or teenagers get inside and they do drugs inside. It's really, really sad. I visited a handful, and a lot of them are not well looked after. Only the ones that are in the most wealthy parts are really taken care of, or in places where people actually care about their culture and they kind of try to keep away these things by hiring somebody to take care of it. But it's still really hard, and it's sad because this could all be a really cool thing to visit for people, even in a touristic manner. Delinquents, yes. I heard the leaves help with resisting the cold and run through the Andes. Yes, they made you go faster. It's complicated, but I recommend 428 Quechuti, truly a masterpiece. I have no idea what you're talking about, but I'll check it out. Corruption in Peru. Who would have seen that coming? It truly is the biggest problem of our current culture and the cultures that came before it. Yep, I've seen a few. 31 years old, barely. Damn. Yeah. This was very recent, and when it happened, they had to rewrite a bunch of stuff, because before that, the culture that they thought was the oldest was another one. I think it might have been one before Nazca. It might have been Paracas. But yeah, Caral is also called, for some reason, Norte Chico in like academic papers that do research regarding that, so you might find it like that if you want to do your own research. I do not know why. Its name is Caral. But they also call it Norte Chico or Small North. But yeah, if you see this, the Nazca bases and the way that they decorated their textiles, it kind of reminds me of how Enna Dream Barbecue had a bunch of these patterns. And that's because the creator is Peruvian, and he decided to base on some of the patterns, but from other cultures. I think Incan and also Paracas, if I am not wrong. Let me see. Yeah, there you go. You can see here the rest of the most popular civilizations that happened during Peru before the Incas. You have Chimu, you have Moche. Oh yeah, Moche was the one that we believed that was the oldest one. And then we found Caral recently, and that's how we had to rewrite a bunch of stuff. You had Chancay, Ixma, Huarco, Paracas, Chincha, Wari, Nazca, and Inca. And the Incan Empire became huge eventually. It extended over to Ecuador and also Chile. And something that I think it's worth mentioning is that the fact that the Incas did not force the civilizations or the cultures that they invaded or they reigned over. They did not force them to believe in their own gods. They let them keep whatever gods they had, but in exchange, they had to pay favor to the Inca in taxes. So very early on, we had a tax system. And I wrote something else here regarding the thing about the principle of reciprocity. So another thing that usually people get wrong from the principle of reciprocity is the fact that the civilization or that was conquered by the Incas would constantly ask for gifts and requests to the representatives of the Incas, and that's the way the Incas maintained this populace with no rebellions. So that's that by giving them favors and by giving the people in the highest position on these other zones gifts or women or medals or I don't know, llamas, they would give them a peace, and that's how Tawantinsuyo, which is the whole kingdom of the Incas, prevailed for a very long time until there was a civil uprising, and it happened that the conquistadors arrived in the exact same moment where there were two brothers that were fighting each other for the Inca title, and that's how eventually everything fell apart. You are suggested. I will suggest that if you ever hear anything from somebody that claims that they are very well read regarding Peruvian history, that you do your own research. Because as I said, a lot of things are misinterpreted, a lot of things are kinda used as convenience for political movements or propaganda and all that kind of stuff. So it is wise to always go back to the books and look at various sources of information. Yeah. Jonan taught me this because her favorite historian is Maria Rostorovsky. And she's got so much shit on because she's not a formal historian. Just read the Cronistas firsthand. Yeah. Check your sources. Will all of this be on the test? Not my opinion, just the facts. Just the facts. Peruvian history is also kind of complex too. Yes, we have not even talked about these other cultures. And there's definitely, because we're dealing with real people, there was definitely opinions regarding who is the bad culture that they fought against, you know? So I am aware that there is some cultures that hated being under Incan rule, and they also supported the conquistadors. I think they were probably some tinier cultures that existed nearby Cusco. Oh yeah, so where Machu Picchu is over here in Cusco. It's a very high up place. It is. I have no idea how much up there it is, but I know that people get altitude sickness relatively often when they visit Cusco. And what else? The jungle is a safe place if you have a guide that you trust in. If you don't have a guide, please don't go anywhere. Please, I beg you. People go a little crazy with exploring. They believe that they're Indiana Jones and they go anywhere without a Peruvian to help them not get kidnapped and then sold in the black market. Yeah, there was a lot of tension between the Incas and Southern American cultures. That's true as well. Cusco, do you have a good group there? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Then they end up like Cito. Oh no! I did tell you guys about the story of Cito. He got lost in a valley with his girlfriend, and then his girlfriend pushed him off a cliff. A very, 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 very deep cliff. And they didn't find their corpse until 3 years later. It's Cody, you threw off my crew! I need to draw myself as Emperor Cusco now. Alright, chat. That's pretty much all that I had for today. But thank you guys so much for being here, joining, yapping, hanging out with me. I had a great time. Thank you guys so much. And I hope that this was informative and you like Peruvian history a little bit more and you get the cultural context of my weird-ass country a little bit more. It was fun, boss. Yeah. It was. Thank you guys so much for listening. I'ma put this here. And let's return to my regular cave. So you can see my cute chuyito. This is called a chuyo. And it's kinda like the thing that the Russians wear, except it's Peruvian. It's supposed to keep your ears warm, but I put it behind my ears today. And you know what an empress has to do, right, Bibi? No comiences con tus cojudeces. Okay, let me see if I can raid. Let's go ahead and raid. How about we raid Ume Aino? Ambient music is really nice. It's a Peruvian flute combined with some desert ambience. It's really relaxing. I do recommend it. Alright, let's go raid Ume over in Twitch. Ume Aino. Let me check if she's still gonna be live for longer because I have raided people on accident. I have left as soon as I raided. Okay, she's fine. She's back from pissing, so it should be perfect. Perfect time for a raid. Here is the copy and paste. And yeah, have a great night. Have a great start of the weekend tomorrow. Sorry, week tomorrow. I will not be streaming on Monday, but I will probably be streaming on Tuesday and then Wednesday. I'll share with you the schedule soon. Alrighty, let's go raid over at YouTube too. Thank you guys so much for being here. And if you like today's presentation, we can do something similar on maybe other cultures or maybe other topics. So yeah, feel free to suggest me anything. I will be very thankful. Let's go raid. Who is live? Oh, Sienna's live. Alright, let's go raid Sienna. Thank you guys, and bye bye, bye bye, Bertato Quick, bye bye, Redux, bye bye, Scaldy, bye bye, Godless Sweep, bye bye, Neo, bye bye, Marcus Biscuit, bye bye, Saku, bye bye, 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 Ramon, bye, bye. Have fun. Have fun.